Welcome to the Dream Creation Podcast, where you're unleashing the creator you was born to be, where our mind, beliefs, and perceptions really create our own reality, real life examples, and the knowledge you need to start manifesting your dreams to reality.
And I'm your host, Dana Migliori. Thank you for tuning in today. Have you ever had a dream in your heart that just won't go away? Maybe it's something you've wanted for years. A business you want to build, a message you want to share, a life you know you're capable of creating, but there's this space between where you are and where you feel called to be. And in that space, it's really easy to start questioning yourself. Am I not ready? Am I not capable? Did I miss my opportunity? Why isn't this happening yet? Something that I've actually been learning on my own journey is that sometimes we feel like it's a delay, but it actually isn't. Sometimes it's preparation. Sometimes the dream you're asking for requires a version of you that hasn't fully developed yet. And in today's episode, we're going to uncover why your dreams often require a transformation before they become your reality. We're going to talk about how to recognize what this season is trying to teach you, the identity shifts that may be required for your next level, and how to move forward with faith, clarity, and alignment instead of frustration and fear. By the end of this episode, you'll have a completely different perspective on where you are right now. To see that, maybe I'm not stuck. Maybe I'm just being shaped. Because God isn't withholding your dream. He's preparing you to carry it. Now, before we get started, just take a moment and notice where your energy's at. Notice if you're holding any tension in your body. Now begin to ease that tension and take a nice deep breath in with me. And exhale and let it all go. Thank you. I think one of the biggest misunderstandings we have about our dreams is that we think the dream is just about the thing that we're trying to achieve. The money, the relationship, the success, the opportunity. But what if the dream is also an invitation? An invitation to grow, to heal, to become more courageous. Because every level of life requires a new level of identity. Think about this in terms of where you were 5 years ago and what level of identity were you really in compared to where you are now. Can't you see that there's growth and evolution there? And there was a process for you to get from A to B, from where you were then to where you are now. Now, it's the same thing. That evolution, that process doesn't go away. It evolves through time. If I go back 5 years ago where I was still working out of my parents' basement, working a 9-to-5 job that, yes, I was grateful for and I learned a lot from, but I knew that I wasn't supposed to be there anymore, that there was this calling for me to be somewhere else. I didn't really know what it meant. I just know I felt it. Okay. And I was very frustrated because I didn't know. I was at this point in my relationship where I didn't know if things were going to work out. I was at this point where I didn't want to be living at home anymore, and I didn't want to be working in a basement anymore for this company and having people talk to me the way they were on the phone. I was in this energy and I was in this reality that I really wanted to escape from. Okay, I truly wanted to escape from. Now, I used the steps in Spirit Ascension to ascend me out of that situation, but I didn't know it was going to work. I just knew I had to try something different because I didn't want to be where I was anymore. And now, fast forward to today, I'm living in my own house. I'm about to marry the love of my life, which is the same person that 5 years ago, I didn't know we were going to work out. I thought it was going to be the end of us. And here we are, stronger than ever, right? Now I'm no longer working that job. I'm creating something that I feel is in alignment with what God is asking me to do. This is where I am now. Now, that didn't happen overnight, no, but it did require shifts in my perspective, shifts in how I thought about life, shifts in what I felt in my heart in order to begin shifting the external reality. I had to shift on the inside first. That is your core message. You can shift right now, today, on how you feel about something. And maybe your external reality won't necessarily catch up in the blink of an eye, but you begin shifting energetically because your emotions in your heart is an amplifying machine, okay? And there's a lot of things that you feel strongly about. And these feelings that you have really come from the story that you're telling yourself about the situation and what you're giving meaning to where you are. And that feeling is really powerful, okay? It can condemn you or it can free you depending on how you choose to use it. Yes, the emotions you feel in your heart about your life and what's going on is a choice. It really comes down to free will. It is a choice. Even if you feel like it's happening to you and you have no control over it, the way you feel about something in your heart, you have choice about, okay? God gifted us that free will. Just sometimes it doesn't feel so freeing, right? It feels like we're like stuck feeling this way because life's got us trapped in this situation we don't want to be in. But it's how we feel about it that can bring us out of it. Now, there's something really important that I want to make a distinction about is the difference between forcing and alignment, okay? I used to think the question was like, how do I make this happen? How do I get there faster? How can I create the outcome now? But the deeper question became, who am I becoming in the process? Because when we create from fear, comparison, or needing to improve ourselves, we can lose connection with why we felt it in the first place, why we started, that calling we felt, right? But when we create from alignment, faith, and purpose, you begin to shift your internal energy, your internal emotions immediately. And this is what's so profound. For me, my relationship with God has deepened this understanding. I've learned that the dreams and desires within us need to be brought into alignment with something greater than just ourselves. Not every desire is in alignment with your actual journey. Some desires are actual invitations to use your gift, serve others, and step into the purpose of why you were created. Now, I want to pause here because I think sometimes the word purpose can feel overwhelming. We hear the word purpose and we imagine it has to be something huge, a massive calling, a world-changing mission, something that impacts thousands or millions of people. But purpose isn't always found in the biggest things you can imagine. Sometimes purpose is revealed through the small things you are faithful with. The way you love people, the way you use your gifts, the way you show up, the way you bring light, encouragement, creativity, and compassion into the spaces you're already in. Purpose isn't something that you have to force yourself to find overnight. It's something that unfolds as you grow and listen and become more aligned with who God created you to be. Now, I want you to hear this very clearly because sometimes the desires that are placed in your heart are not there just so you can chase and create and attract a specific outcome. They're there because they're pointing you in the direction toward the person you're becoming. And this is why the journey matters just as much as the destination. You always hear that, right? That to enjoy the journey, it's not just about the destination. Because God is not only interested in giving us the things we've asked for, He's also transforming us through the process of becoming ready for it. The dreams, the desires, and the gifts within us often reveal areas where we're going to be invited to grow. Maybe it's courage, maybe it's patience, maybe it's learning to trust. Maybe it's learning to let go of the beliefs that have kept us small. The question isn't just, what am I trying to create? The deeper question is, who is God inviting me to become through this process? because the greatest transformation doesn't happen when we finally arrive. It happens along the way. And that's where alignment comes in. Learning to recognize when you're moving from a place of fear, pressure, and proving yourself versus moving from a place of faith, trust, and purpose. When you think about your desire, why do you think you desire it? How is it going to help not just yourself, but the other people in your life? How is it going to be supportive and contribute to the universe? See, what I noticed the most in my conscious manifestations, what really excelled was where it wasn't just helping me. It wasn't like a selfish desire for, pride or greed or any of those emotions. It was a desire that when I envisioned it, I saw it, how it impacted other people and uplifted other people's lives. See, that's an energy that the universe and God can really support behind because it's in alignment with God's will. So when you're really feeling called to something, I want you to ask yourself, is this coming from a place of comparison? Is it coming from a place of fear? If you're manifesting from that vantage point, you're really in an energy of forcing. You're not in an energy of alignment. That's the difference, okay? Energy of alignment, it's in alignment with God's will. It feels beneficial to not just you, but those around you, and it'll have a ripple effect in the universe that'll benefit somebody. Now that desire is coming from alignment. I want to invite you into a moment of reflection right now. I don't want you to just listen to this episode and move on. I want you to take a moment and really ask yourself, what is the dream, desire, or vision that keeps returning to my heart? What is the dream, desire, or vision that keeps returning to my heart? Maybe it's something you've pushed away. Maybe it's something you've been afraid to admit you want. Maybe it's something you've been carrying quietly for years. And I want you to remember that the fact that something is on your heart doesn't mean you have to force it into existence. It simply means it's worth bringing into prayer, reflection, and alignment. So you can ask yourself these 3 questions that help you with that. Who do I need to become to carry this dream? And not because you are not enough right now, but because growth is part of the journey. What qualities does this next version of you need to develop? Maybe it's confidence, discipline, patience. Maybe it's learning to trust God more deeply. Maybe it's releasing fear of being seen. Then ask yourself, what is one step I can take today that aligns with the person I'm becoming? Not the 10 steps, not the entire plan, not trying to figure out your entire future, okay? Just one faithful step, one action, one decision, one choice that moves you closer to alignment. Because so often we think transformation happens when we finally get the thing we've been manifesting or hoping for or praying for. But transformation doesn't happen before that. Transformation is what prepares us to receive it. The person you are becoming today is creating the capacity for the life you are praying for tomorrow. So I want you to sit with these questions, write them down, pray over them, journal about them, and allow yourself to be curious about what God may be revealing to you through the desires, your gifts, the visions that He's placed within your heart. Because your dream is not just about where you're going, it's about who you're becoming along the way. And if you're listening to this right now, you're realizing that maybe the biggest thing standing between you and the vision in your heart isn't the external circumstances around you, but maybe it's the beliefs you've been carrying, the fear that's been holding you back. Maybe it's the identity that no longer matches where you're being called to go. I want you to know that this is exactly the work I'm passionate about, because I believe transformation starts within. Before we create something new externally, we often have to allow God to transform something within us, our mindset, our identity, our relationship with ourselves and how we treat others, our ability to trust, our willingness to step forward. And this is why I created the work that I do, because I've seen how powerful it is when somebody stops living from fear, limitation, and uncertainty and starts becoming the person they were created to be. Not a perfect person, not someone who has everything figured out, but someone who is willing to grow, someone who is willing to learn and listen, someone who is willing to take the next step faithfully, even though they can't see or know the outcome. So if you've been feeling like there is something more inside of you, if you've been carrying a dream, a desire, or a vision, but don't know your next step, I want to invite you to continue this journey with me. Through this podcast, my teachings, and the resources I share, my goal is to help you transform from the inside out and align with the purpose God has placed in your heart. Because your dream matters. Your gifts matter. And the person you're becoming matters. Now, I also want to speak to the person listening who might be thinking, but what if I don't know what my dream is? What if I don't know my purpose? What if I feel like everyone else has it all figured out and I'm still trying to understand what I'm here to do? Well, I want you to know something. You are not behind because you don't have every answer yet. Purpose is not always revealed in one big moment. Sometimes purpose unfolds through the small steps of obedience, curiosity, and growth. Sometimes God doesn't show us the entire path because we wouldn't have the capacity to carry it all at once. Sometimes He reveals just the next step. And as we faithfully walk in that step, the next one becomes clearer. So often we put this pressure on ourselves to discover this huge, life-changing purpose. We think it has to be something that impacts thousands of people. We think it has to be something impressive. But this purpose is not measured by how many people see it. It's measured by whether we're faithfully using what God has given us. Like your kindness can be of purpose. Your creativity, your willingness to encourage someone can be purposeful. The gifts you carry, the experiences you've walked through, the lessons you've learned, none of those things are wasted. God can use all of it. So if that's you, if you're in a season where you feel uncertain, I want to encourage you. Don't rush past this season, just trying to get to the next one. Be calm. Stay in it. Ask yourself, what is this season of my life trying to teach me? What is God developing within me right now? What part of myself is being strengthened through this process? Because the person you're becoming is not separate from your purpose. The becoming is the part of the purpose. That's why you don't really want to neglect what's going on right now in your life, because it's helping you become that version of you, right? If you just want to get to the destination, if you just want to get to where you have it, but not do the internal work to get there, well, that's not going to benefit you at all. Because let's say you did that, you wouldn't even be able to enjoy it because you wouldn't be the evolved version of you that actually can sustain it. So enjoy where you're at. Understand that it's all unfolding in divine timing. And if you've tuned into this podcast today, I really appreciate your time and your energy and you being here with me today. And if you're tuning in for the first time, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on, because new episodes are issued every single week that are going to help guide you along this journey, especially by checking out other episodes that will help you through other seasons in your life, give you some techniques and some methods that you can use to really help guide you. Again, I really do appreciate you being here. And if anything resonated with you, if you can take a moment to rate the podcast and leave a comment if the platform allows you to do that, or even just reach out to me and tell me about it, it truly makes a difference in my day. And I really love and appreciate that you're here. So before you go, I want to leave you with this. Don't despise the season you're in just because it doesn't look like the season you've been praying for. The preparation is part of the promise. The growth is part of the journey. And the person God is shaping you into is just as important as the dream that you're moving toward, the dream that you are manifesting, the dream you feel called to. So thank you for being here. Thank you for spending this time with me today. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Did you like this episode? If so, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Are you an expert at creating your own reality? Do you have a story to tell that drastically changed your life? If so, message me at Dream Creation Podcast on Instagram and don't forget to leave a review.